Hello, I hope you are well. I hope you had a great reading for February. I myself read 7 things in February. I have very mixed reviews of these things, and so I'm just going to get straight into it. I read Wuthering Heights and made so many videos on this. This is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This story begins with someone called Mr. Lockwood wants to rent somewhere called the Grange. So he has to go and see the landlord who lives at a place called Wuthering Heights, and the landlord is Heathcliff, and it's a very strange man. And then Mr. Lockwood goes back to the Grange, and his housekeeper, Miss Dean, knows the full story of Heathcliff's life and Wuthering Heights and all the tale of misery. And so the whole book is told through the housekeeper's point of view. And she's a really unreliable narrator, Miss Dean, who's also known as Nellie. And she says Heathcliff, who now owns Wuthering Heights, he was actually an orphaned boy. And the man who owned Wuthering Heights, Mr. Earnshaw, had 2 children. He had Catherine and he had Hindley. And then he picked up this orphan boy one day and brought him back and raised him as if he was his own son. But Hindley, the son, was very upset with this. And then when Mr. Earnshaw died, Hindley got the house, and he made his sister Catherine and Heathcliff basically become workers in the house. He didn't like them, but they spend their whole days in the moors frolicking around. And then Catherine ends up marrying Edgar Linton, and Edgar Linton was living at the Grange with his family, very wealthy. She marries him for his money. She then dies in childbirth. Heathcliff marries Edgar's sister, Isabella. Isabella dies, and the son goes to Heathcliff because Heathcliff and Isabella aren't actually living together when she has the baby. This is set in 2 volumes, the book. So then the second volume is about Heathcliff wanting revenge, because Heathcliff is described as gypsy and dark featured, and everyone is really prejudiced and racist towards him in the book because of that, because everyone else is white within the story. So he wants revenge, and he wants revenge for Cathy not marrying him as well. And so he decides he is going to try and make Cathy's daughter, who's called Catherine, marry his son, who's called Linton, and then they'll both be in misery together. And then he would have got back at Edgar, who married the love of his life, Cathy. It's not really about love, it's about obsession. It's about, first off, prejudice, that then you want revenge for that prejudice, and it's rightfully so, but then how far are you willing to go for that revenge? Are you willing to destroy yourself and your own children and your whole family lineage for revenge, or not? Or do you move on with your life in some way? And also manipulation, because I find the character of Cathy incredibly manipulative. I don't think she loved Heathcliff. I think she wanted to control him and keep him as a little pet near her and just kind of amuse herself with him. So it wasn't even love, that it was the basis that it was built on. I've spoken about this book so much. I did enjoy it, but I did find it miserable. Everyone's unlikable. Everyone's miserable. I didn't even believe the way it was told, and I think that's so clever to have it from Nellie's perspective, because Nellie is the housekeeper, but at one point she's a nanny. At one point she's a housekeeper. At another point she's kind of like a chaperone. And so because she's lived with their lives, she was working for Cathy's family, and then she works Cathy's obviously daughter, Catherine, with her as well. She has so much to tell within the story, but she's obviously trying to make herself look the best to Mr. Lockwood, who's her new employer. So it's very clever the way she is saying things within it, because there's a part where Cathy comes to her and says something to Nellie, and Heathcliff overhears and he runs away, and Nellie never tells Cathy Heathcliff overheard what we said, which would change the plot a lot, because you'd understand why he ran away. And so she's manipulative in herself as well, but like, what was I to do? And it's not my fault. And she's always like, I was trying to save everyone. I was trying to save Catherine the whole time. That's what I was trying to do. Like, I'm the best person here. I loved that within it as well, the Nellie situation. I did enjoy Wuthering Heights. I don't know if I would reread it. It's a very dreary, miserable novel, but I did think it was very clever. I did enjoy that. I have also read Charles Dickens' The Old Curiosity Shop. I chose this for the book club. I thought I put on my microphone. I chose it for the book club that I ran on this channel. And I did really like this. I got quite bored of this. This is over 500 pages. I think it's like 550 pages. And it's about a girl called Nell. She's 14 years old. She lives with her grandfather. Her grandfather has an old curiosity shop, but he's in horrendous debt because he's a gambler. He gambles all their money away, including the shop. The shop then goes to someone called Quilp, who's a really frightfully horrible man. And then Quilp takes the house from them, but they're still living within the house because they still have debts to him. The house hasn't settled their debts. So they're really like prisoners within the home for Quilp. So Nell says to her grandfather, let's run away. So they do. And then the book is about the people they meet along the way. So they're going from inn to inn, and they meet someone who's begging, doing a Punch and Judy show, circus. On the front is dogs dressed up as people, because there's a man who dresses his dogs up as humans, and that's his kind of little show on the road. And it also goes into Quilp because he's trying to track them down. Someone called Kit, who used to work for Nell's grandfather, who is now finding new employment himself because they've run away. So how's he going to make ends meet because they were employing him? I did enjoy this, but it was just going all over the place. So this was originally serialized in 48 different issues of Charles Dickens' own weekly magazine that he used to bring out. And I just found it read like that, like a series of short stories that sometimes weren't even connected to one another and that I didn't really need within the stories. I mean, it's a beast of a read. I've been reading it since January. It's taken me such a long time to get through this book, but overall, I did like it. I thought the end, the way it turned out, was perfect, although I think they should have got rid of the last chapter. The last chapter for me was tying up loose ends, and I didn't feel like we needed that. It could have ended a chapter before. I then read a graphic novel that I've actually previously read. I believe I read this 10 years ago. I got it out from the library. It's Ghost World by Daniel Clowes, and I loved it at the time of reading it. So I decided to buy my own copy of it because I loved it so much when I read it 10 years ago. This is about two girls. They're in a small town, and it's really about the time between you finished high school and you're deciding whether to go off to college. We would call it university in England, and that time in between that you're like just coming out of teenagehood and you're going into adulthood and you've got to make life choices. So it's about these two girls, very funny, sarcastic, deadpan. If you like the cartoon Daria, it's that kind of humour. So I loved that within it. It was different people in their town. They were kind of making up their own backstories about different people. They were kind of quite spiteful within it as well. They're not like perfect characters, the two girls. They're young and being a little bit spiteful. And then it's about their friendship, how close you are with your friends before you have a great romance in your life, the love of the friendship and how deep the friendship runs between the two of them, and then ultimately going off into the big wide world. The whole thing is done in green and black, and I really enjoyed this. I actually have a video coming out where I'm going to go much more in depth into the female friendship of it. Loved it like I did before. It's very much more, there's like swearing on every page, and they talk about things which I didn't remember, which are quite controversial things within it as well. So there is that element. I then read, I've got like so much more to talk about, Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. I chose this for the book club pick for this month, February, the Valentine's season, and I had read this as a child, like at school. As a child I read it, and I didn't really remember the plot, so I obviously knew the plot of Romeo and Juliet. I love the Baz Luhrmann, Leonardo DiCaprio film of Romeo and Juliet, so like everyone knows the plot of it, but I didn't really know the ins and outs, like what character says what, who brings what message, and the fighting beforehand, and the romance within it is actually quite a small element, I felt, because a lot of it is the fighting between two houses. You've got the Montagues, you've got the Capulets, they hate each other, the fighting between the two of them. I did enjoy it. I didn't understand every single line of it, everything about it. I'm doing a full book review of this, adding your reviews to it as well, because we read it for the book club, but every line, no, I didn't get every word of what was being said, because obviously we don't use those words anymore. But I did get the gist of the plot. I did enjoy reading this play. I did think it was an enjoyable read, even though I didn't understand every line within it. We then have this book for mums. So this was advertised as a book that just had like inspirational mum quotes within it, but it's called Jesus Calling for Mums by Sarah Young. But it was really advertised, falsely advertised, as a like little book for mums. So there are some things from the Bible within it, but then there's just Sarah's own writing about motherhood. But it's actually nothing to do with motherhood at all. It's everything to do with and then you have little things where you can write your own passages and there's pictures, but it's not that. It's about her interpretation of the Bible, but not related to motherhood at all. So I was just looking for like a little inspirational book about motherhood. That was it. Like inspirational quotes about mother. That's it. But it's her analysing the Bible, but she's not relating it to being a mother in any kind of way. So I don't really understand who this book is for. The artwork in it, I did really think was beautiful, the photography. So I did tab quite a few moments. And it's more like a kind of mindfulness thing that you would open it up and there might be a quote or something that you can then relate to your own life in like a mindfulness way, but I didn't think it was particularly for mothers as it was advertised. I then have another book with the Jesus in the title. This one is so difficult to talk about. I don't even know how to talk about it. I almost don't want to talk about it, but then I feel that would be a disservice to the book. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, what am I doing these videos for? These are my reading histories, so I can look back on these videos and go, okay, this is what I read in February and what I thought of it and what I thought of this author and this style. And so it'd be unfair of me on myself to not have this in there, but it's so difficult to talk about this book. So this is my second book from this author. She's called Darcey Steinke, and she had another one which is called Suicide Blonde, which I read and enjoyed, and it was really weird, and I picked it up from a charity shop. This one, I hate the cover. This is called Jesus Saves, and it's got a girl and she's been all like cut by thorns, and then she's got a unicorn stamped on her head, and just the cover is very repulsive to me. But this is told from two girls' perspectives, but they're both living in the same small town. So you have a girl who her mother has died and her father is the local minister at the church, and then you have another girl who she has been kidnapped, and everyone knows about the kidnapping, so you're finding out what's happening to the girl in this kidnapping. It's just like the most upsetting book, but it's not false. There are things, human trafficking, sexual abuse, those kind of stuff, but in such detail, in such grotesque detail. And I just found it was a lot, the book. But the girl who is in the town, whose father's a minister, his ministry is kind of failing and they want to modernise it. So she's talking about that. She's talking about her relationship with her boyfriend. And the main plot with her is her mother died. And when the book starts, her mother has died. But her mother got incredibly sick with cancer and she lost faith in God. And it was a big thing because obviously that dad is like the minister at the church, and her mum also lost her mind. She became so unwell. And so we're getting flashbacks of that it's really brutal home life. And the girl also now lives in the basement because her room was converted so her mum could be in there, and so she went into the basement, and then she just never went back to that room after her mother's death. And in the basement is all these old relics and memories, and she is really, it's hopeless. That's what the novel is. It's about people who live somewhere where it's hopeless, where they really need to leave. There's nothing around for them. I believe this came out in the 90s. It's like a blockbuster they talk about and stuff like that, and there's not a lot there for them, and their life is so miserable and so entrenched in some pain that they have suffered that you just want them to get out, you just want them to leave, you just want them to be okay throughout the whole book. And then the other girl, she has been kidnapped and she is hallucinating into different things, so the most horrific things are happening to her. I can't even say out loud the things that he's doing to her. So he's doing all this horrific stuff. It's written in such detail as well. It made me so uncomfortable. And then she is hallucinating that this unicorn is coming to her because she's a young girl. So this unicorn is coming to her and talking to her. And then the caterpillar, so it's very Alice in Wonderland, a caterpillar is coming, and then a butterfly is coming, and they're all talking to her. And taking her off into this world in her mind because what's happening is so awful. And then the minister's daughter is wondering, where is this girl that's been kidnapped? Because there's all these posters up about her. Everyone's talking about little Sally's gone missing. When's Sally coming back? But you know what's actually happening to Sally. Oh God, like but it's so beautifully written, some of it, not all. Like some of it, when she just talks about like the night sky and stars and stuff like that, it's beautifully written, but it's such a brutal book. It's like such an extreme book. I don't think I've ever read anything as extreme as this. The way it describes things, you're like, you feel physically sick. And I know all this stuff happens. This isn't a fantasy that the authors just come up with. You know, the human trafficking happens. I get it, but it's just so repulsive. I'll never reread this book, but everything about it was hopeless. You felt like this real atmosphere of oppression, but it was kind of really well done in such an odd way. But like, I'm embarrassed to talk about it because some of the scenes in it are just so awful that I never want to discuss them with anyone. So if you read this book, just don't tell me. Like, I normally love chatting to people about books that I've read and being like, did you like this scene? What did you think of that scene? Whereas with this book, because it's so harrowing, it's like, I don't want to talk about it with anyone. I can't talk about this book to anyone. Don't tell me if you read it. I don't want to know. I don't even want to tell you to read it. Even though I do think it is a good book, I don't even want to say it. Because, you know, some books are just so harrowing and so grotesque. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Like in my head, I can picture the scene. And I literally couldn't physically say it. I'd be too embarrassed to say what it is. But it's just harrowing scene after harrowing scene. But these things do happen. Maybe, and also with this book, I was thinking, maybe this is a good thing to read about because these things happen. People are kidnapped and then human trafficked. And these things are real around us all the time, and so we live in our bubbles because we might not know anyone who this has happened to, but this is happening right now in all of our countries. So maybe it is something we should be more aware of. And also just the innocence of kids, like, oh, I'll just take the shortcut through the woods, or I just need to go outside, so there's no one here, but I'll just go outside for a second. It's like, no, like nothing bad should happen to them, but they do, because there's someone lurking, someone waiting. And it's just how, like, when you're a teenager, you're not really thinking about that. You're like, I just need to do this, so I just do it quick. Or this is a shortcut, so I just quickly walk through it, and not thinking about who could be there. And like, if you actually took the long way round where there's street lights and there's cars, it's much less likely for someone to get you. But you're young. And so she writes about that as well, their rationale of things. And yeah, and also I kind of love that she didn't focus on the kidnapper that much. Like, he's just a loser. He's just an evil, repulsive loser. We don't need to know much more about him. It wasn't trying to like, oh, let's feel sorry for him, or let's go into his mind, or why is he doing this to her, or what happened in his childhood. It was just very much she keeps calling him the troll because she's in her head in this fairy tale land. So he's just the troll, the ugly, horrible, evil troll who everyone wants to see killed because he's the troll. I like that. I actually don't like the over-analysing of evil people that, well, it's probably something in their childhood and we've all got to, let's all help them and let's all help them, like, change their life, and everyone can be, what's that? What am I thinking? Rehabilitation. That's the word I was looking for. So the UK justice system is run on rehabilitation. So when you get caught for a crime, you go to jail, and that is about rehabilitating you so that you won't reoffend. Whereas other countries, it would be like you're in prison for life. It's about punishment. That's it. Whereas in England, you don't really get prison for life. It seems to be people who do the most horrendous crimes still are able to get some kind of probation. So I don't agree with that. I think some crimes are beyond. And we should just be much more black and white about it. And I think the nuance is trying to be kind. But who are we really being kind to? We don't want to be kind to these people. So anyway, that's my rant. But I liked that. He is the evil troll. We don't care. He's the evil troll. I like that take of the killer. And we don't have to relate to him. We don't have to care about him. I thought that was good. Yeah, I'm so uncomfortable about this book. I don't even know what to say about it, to be honest. That's the review. So deeply uncomfortable with the graphic detail of the scenes within it. Next, I then read, this is my third Han Kang. I've read Han Kang, Greek Lessons, The Vegetarian, and then this is The White Book. I loved the other two Han Kangs I've read. Obviously, it's originally published in Korean. This is about the colour white and a meditation on the colour white. And so it's loads of essays on different things that are white. So the sand, salt, like a white handkerchief, loads of different stuff. But really, it's going through Han Kang's life. So it's about her own tale of her mother losing a baby. So her mother lost a baby. The baby was born at 7 months old. The baby died. And then it goes on through different kind of meditations of the colour white and relating to Han Kang's life. There was once a white dog. It was my neighbour's dog. And then talking about that. And then it goes into her mother had lost another baby. This was all before Han Kang was born. And the idea that Han Kang would never have existed if those two babies would have lived. Because if her mother's first baby, her daughter, would have lived, she would have had one daughter, and that would have been it. But because that baby died, she tried again, and she had a son, and the son was born too early again and survived for a bit and then died. And that then she went on to have Han Kang. And that the way also of that, of feeling like you have to live your life for them, but also in a way, what an honour that they didn't get to live, but we almost have joint eyes because we all came from the same womb. That your eyes didn't get to see what my eyes have got to see, but I will carry on living my life for you. And the kind of weight of that, and the weight that she's talking about, like, what if we all would have lived? I would have had an older sister, all the things I could have done with my older sister, and how this affected my mother. And when the first baby was born, she was by herself, her mother, in a very rural area. She gave birth. She was 7 months pregnant. The baby was obviously going to die. And for 2 hours, the baby lived. And she, throughout the book, goes back to those 2 hours, what her mother must have felt in those 2 hours. And her mother's saying, please don't die. Please don't die. Oh my, I don't want to cry. It's such a good book. It's just really emotional, really good, really about loss and grief, and about her mother puts the baby in like a white, like swaddle, what we were called. I think they call them like birthing bands there, but it'd be like a swaddle. And that ends up being the baby's coffin because the baby died in them and was buried in them. But it was supposed to be for new life. It was supposed to be for a newborn baby, and that's not how it turned out. And about the grief of her mother, obviously living without them, but also her wondering what they would have been like, because it all happened before she was born. And so what would her life been like? Obviously she might not have even existed because her mum would have had 2 children. Or would they have got along if all 3 of them were born together? And I just thought it was so moving. It was just such a moving book. It was really sad. There were certain moments that really kind of punch you. Like at the beginning, she's talking about what her mother was saying to the baby in those 2 hours, and about also the whiteness of when the baby died. Like, did everything just go white and that was it? Because it's all about the colour white. It's all being brought back to this meditation of the colour white, and how those words are repeated at the end of the story, what her mother said to that baby, and how loving those words were, and how if you were dying, because she's pleading with the baby not to die, if you were going to die, how they would be like the most beautiful words to hear to someone pleading you not to, someone like fighting against it for you. I don't know why I'm crying. It was just such a moving book. So I had a lot more feelings to get out than I thought I did. I didn't think I'd be sitting here crying. I didn't think I'd be talking about the justice system. I just let everything out in this video. I feel refreshed after letting out all those opinions. I think I had a good reading month. There's nothing I read apart from the motherhood book that I thought was just like quotes about motherhood that wasn't. All the other stuff I I had like strong reactions to it. And I think that's, I don't know why I'm still crying. I think that's something going forward that I really want. Like I've said, I want to DNF more. If I'm reading a book and I'm not having a strong emotion towards it, I want to kind of get rid of it. I don't want to carry on with the book and then at the end be like, yeah, this was an okay read. You know, I really want to have some kind of strong opinion or reaction to a book. And I feel like this month I have really got that. Even if the book made me highly uncomfortable, I would never reread, I don't even want to talk about them, it's invoking a reaction out of you. And what is reading really for? You can read it for like escapism, enjoyment, to be disturbed by things, or like me, to just make you feel something. I don't have to relate to every character within a book, but just to make you feel some kind of emotion, so it feels, that's like the magic of reading for me. So it moves you in some way. You might massively disagree with what the main character is doing within the story, but it's got something that's going to live on within you because you're always going to remember that thing. Although sometimes that can really backfire and you could be haunted by books. Like I feel like one of those books that I was talking about is going to haunt me. And I'm like, I kind of wish I hadn't read those scenes. I suppose that's just the luck of the draw with reading, that you just don't know how it's going to make you feel at the end of it. But I want to feel something. I don't just want to, I'm kind of fed up of just reading books and be like, yeah. I want to feel something from the book. So tell me if you have read any of these books, if you have any opinions about anything I spoke about. I love getting back to comments in the evening. I have my little tea, getting back to comments, chatting back and forth with you. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought. March's book club pick, we're reading Alice in Wonderland together. So you just read Alice in Wonderland. When you've read it, send me your reviews. And then when I do my book review of Alice in Wonderland, I will read your book reviews aloud in my video. So I'm going to end it here. I hope you're having a great day. It's very rainy. It's like perfect reading weather here. Very rainy, cold here. And I will see you again soon for another video.